Today we gotta hurry. Not so many transitions and, all this hanky-panky, because there is lots of news to go at. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about, the crypto bulls back. Is this the end of the bear market? I actually tend to believe that this is more of a dead cat bounce. We never know where the market will go, but I am going to try to solidify that with some very ugly global macro figures coming from the United Nations, who are addressing the cost of living, basically the crisis in third world countries. And it is, let's just have a quick look at that, how this looks, because it does not look good. Here we can see, and obviously what we're going to take into consideration is the price increases of basically all the things that we need, right? You remember that saying, no money, no honey. But I think what we need, what it is today is no cash, no gas, no power, no flour, right? And that's what we need in order to have this economy working. In the end, we're going to have a little look at what Russia is up to, Russia-Ukraine, right? Putin, I think, is going to Iran. Germany's unhappy that they are not sending, shipping, producing, whatever, the amount of gas that they're supposed to. That's what we're going to talk about today, so let's go in. And I think it goes a little something like this. I want to welcome you to Crypto Never Sleeps. In case you're new to this channel, you want to stay on top of the crypto world, well then please hit like, smash, subscribe, so that you can be notified every time we upload new videos. So that you can, and this is important to me, protect your wealth, preserve your wealth, and ultimately increase your wealth. My name is Nico Harachi, and I'm the host of this little show. Of course, today we all are excited, are we not? I mean, Bitcoin is up 8%, 23,489. We got Ethereum up 5%, but trading above 1,500, almost at 1,570. We got Cardano up 8%, above 50 cents, and we got Polkadot up 7%, trading almost at $8, but we saw it today. Let's look at Bitcoin. Obviously, remember, I like to look at the weekly with the 7-day moving average. Now, remember, it's a new week, right? So last week we were still below. This is the beginning of the week. So, well, it's Tuesday, right? So tomorrow is an important day. And why is tomorrow an important day? Well, if we go in and we look at what's coming up tomorrow, and I think it is the unemployment claims, right? And that can have a huge impact on the overall market. So I don't know. I think it's too early to be able to confirm if this is the end of the bear trend and if we have now back into bull territory. I don't know. We look at Ethereum though, however, right? Now, if we should base it on my little philosophy here of 7-day moving average on the weekly, well, Ethereum did close slightly above, and we can see this week it has started strong. So I think it remains to be seen what's going to happen. Now, remember, it is very difficult to time the market. But and I claim sometimes, to predict the market, and I've been spot on. But in the end of the day, disciplined, professional, successful, wise investor doesn't do this predicting and doesn't base his investment approach on predicting and thinking he's number one, and because basically no one is number one, right? So that is why it's so important for me that you also understand that I don't know how to time the market, when is the bottom and when is the top. Now, we have been able to do it, but remember, the averaging in and the averaging out is really the way to go. Let's go back and look at the... So you see, we will never be able to really sell at the high, and we will never be able to buy at the low. And that is why we want to average in, right? So are we going to see, when we're going to look at the global macro figures and numbers and all the turmoil that's going on in the world, you wouldn't believe that we will see neither an economy actually rebouncing. On the other hand, we do know that the current global monetary system is failing. It's imploding. And we also know that the people, in power, they need to They need to restructure the financial system. So there will be a point, and I'm pretty confident in that, there will be a point when cryptocurrencies, let's look at the daily, where cryptocurrencies, they will detach from the traditional markets. I just believe it's a little too early, but who knows? Who knows? Remember, the trend is your friend, and that it's important that you keep an eye on that. So let's see on the overall market. I mean, Bitcoin up 8% today, Ethereum 5%. Across the board, good numbers. I don't really want to go too much into this, and just remember, everything I say and do here is not financial advice. Especially on the cryptocurrency news, there's not so much, right? We're seeing Dubai to ramp up metaverse efforts with 40,000 new jobs. I like that, one of the leading crypto hubs in the Middle East. Now, if any of you have ever been to Dubai, you probably, I mean, that was already like, that is the most artificial place I've ever seen. I like to be there, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. I don't have much left for Dubai, but I think that Dubai is actually the perfect place where, it's almost like set up like a metaverse. Anyway, they are going... The strategy promotes Dubai's ambitions to support more than 40,000 virtual jobs by 2030. That's good. We need jobs, especially with the current inflation and the global economic macro crisis. So well done, Dubai. We got some consensus news from Consensus, and they are going to tokenize smart contract and security auditing services through the upcoming auction of 8 time-boxed turn tokens. You can read about that. I think it's good, but not for today. There was some more important news. Now, okay, I don't know if you heard that yesterday. I did announce it. The Coinbase on July 18, they obtained a crypto asset service provider approval from Italy. And also Crypto.com, they received approval from Italian regulators to offer their services. This just goes to show that across the board, we are seeing more mass adoption. And that is what we need, right? So at some point, we are going to see the cryptocurrency market decouple. And another mass adoption, French banking giant BNP Paribas, I think it's second or third largest bank. The French bank will be working with crypto custody specialist Metaco, which is becoming the go-to provider for banks and institutions looking to enter the crypto space. Why is this so significant? Well, it is significant when one of the biggest banks actually in the world, one of the biggest banks in France, BNP Paribas, are entering the crypto space. Why? They wouldn't do that if they didn't think that the future of finance is going to be built on the blockchain. So that's good news. That is good news. Gary Gensler, he was also speaking. Well, I'm just pointing that out because that's also important. Regulation, right? That does have an impact. Is the Ethereum merge driving this rally? I don't think so. I think it could be a reason, right? It could be a lot of other YouTubers, content providers. They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, it's the Ethereum merge because they set a date." No, I don't believe just because they set a date for the Ethereum merge that is really going to change the trend. But it's a good thing. It's important. But obviously, we have to see: is it really going to be the 19th of September? Is it going to work? And is everything consistent, and is everything working? So of course it's good news, but we were kind of anticipating this, right? So just take that into consideration. So I want to move on to, before we move on to Ukraine and Russia, I wanted to share with you, now let's do that in the United Nations. So let's run through here. Remember, Russia, they were having to maintenance their Nord Stream pipelines, and it was supposed to go until, I think, tomorrow or until today. But prior to that, they said, force majeure happened, and they won't be able to provide the same amount. So today we saw that Russia nears gas shutdown in Europe as Germany, I like Germany, they're rejecting the claim that Gazprom cannot fulfill the contracts, right? So Russia basically said, let's just say Putin, because, Gazprom or whatever, Putin said that due to reasons that you are confiscating our foreign reserves, and due to reasons that you are signing, or looking for alternatives to buy our energy, well, we're not going to deliver you that gas. and you will see what's going to happen with you, right? As I said, no money, no honey, no cash, no gas, and no power, no flour, right? So I think Russia's playing, with their muscles. So Germany's energy firm Uniper confirmed that Gazprom had claimed force majeure on its supplies. And what they're saying, Uniper, is we consider this as unjustified and have formally rejected the force majeure claim. Okay, so they rejected it. Let's see what Russia's going to do about that. I know what Russia's going to do. In fact, Putin, he was getting up, flying green, spending lots of carbon emissions on a private jet, going straight to the Islamic Republic of Iran, where he met with Ibrahim, Raisi in Tehran, and with Turkish President Erdogan, right? So what's going on there? I think you also know that. Basically, Russia wants to buy, a huge amount of drones so that they can, use them against the proxy war that is currently going on in Ukraine. All things that are not looking too bright. Now let's move on to what I said we have to look at, and this is the United Nations. Again here. Before we look at that, we need to go in and look at the protests. What is up with the protests? I've also said there's this global protest tracker, and I think this is going to be almost as relevant as the CBDC tracker. And you can go in here and you can see what's going on all over the world. There's a lot going on, and we just want to look at the active, and there you can see what's for yourself. If you also want to see it, a little bit more lively, you can go into Radio Genova on Twitter, and what you're seeing there. By the way, this was in Italy. These were the pro, I don't know what you call them, pro people for Draghi that liked him. There's around 55, right? 55 Italians saying that Draghi, he's a lovely, lovely, lovely individual. And look at this here. These are the Italians that believe Draghi is, not the best thing that ever happened to Italy. What do we have here? Look at that. Anyway, protests are going on across the globe. Look at this. This is in Peru. Peruvian farmers, they're also getting up and are marching towards their government due to the fact that, it's going to be more expensive to farm. No fertilizer, no energy. We can see here that now that the German farmers are supporting the Dutch, and this is also keep going on. So go in and have a look at that, because there are a lot of things going on. Also in Argentina, and this was also in Holland. This means that the people, they're actually behind the farmers' protest. Here we go, very quickly, addressing the cost of living crisis in developing countries. Now this is a 20-page report. I will share it here in the chat. So what they're doing here is they're addressing the cost of living crisis in developing countries, poverty and vulnerability projections and policy responses. Now they believe that this is all the ripple effect from the war in Ukraine that has disrupted energy and food markets, right? Among many other factors, supply chain disruptions and price spikes in key commodities have been pushing the world towards a precocious inflationary surge. This will have immediate and devastating effects on household welfares. But what they're writing here, the war in Ukraine has severely disrupted global markets for food and energy due to both countries, I think large global market shares in, both Russia and Ukraine are exporting lots of commodities, gas, also wheat, and corn and sunflower. So before the war, Russia was the world's largest and second biggest exporter of natural gas and crude oil. Read that. Here we can see the past year, these are the increases that we have seen. So you can see the dark blue down here, that is before the war, and in green, that is after the invasion took place. So natural gas in the past 12 months is up 166%. Now that's a lot. Crude oil up 73%. Heating oil, which, a lot of people are going to need coming winter, but not only for winter, also a lot of people in the emerging countries are using this to cook with, right? And of course, we need gasolina. Gasolina up 82%. Now, wheat, sunflower, flour, and corn. Now, corn is seen. You see, when we look at the commodities, agriculture. That's just what I'm, believe is that here we are a little bit, behind the curve, right? Because this is basically we're still eating from last year's production, right? So this year's production or harvest is going to be bad. So I think even from a speculative point of view, probably some futures on wheat, sunflower, flour, and corn will probably be an interesting thing. Because even if we're going to see peace and stability and lots of love across the board, this year's harvest is probably not going to be a huge success. Now, here on the right, and this is actually very, very important, right? I don't know what urea and MOP is and that, but I do know it is the chemicals that the farmers need, fertilizers, in order to grow and produce a lot of food for the rest of the world. And here we can see that the prices have increased nearly 200%. The 178, 177, and for the DAP, 46. The increase in poverty at $1.90 a day could push the global headcount rate upwards from 8.3% to 9%. Basically, I haven't really got, I cannot tell you really how many millions, but it will have severe consequences, as we are seeing, because the majority of the population are poor, are really living day to day. And I guess when we are seeing the core commodities that we need in order to eat and drive and produce are going up at a rate like that, it will have severe consequences. I need to go because, it's late and I need to eat, and I also don't want to waste your time. So I hope this was okay. I want to keep it short, but I did want to share these new news with you. And that's all I got to say about that. I wish you well. Have a good night and stay strong and disciplined. And thank you for watching the smallest, littlest crypto channel on the interweb. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you and thank you for coming.